I have been training consistently for over 15 years, and throughout that time, I've made pretty much every mistake out there and paid the price for it. And I often wonder, how much further would I be along had I known 15 years ago what I now know? And in this video, I aim to share some of those lessons learned and detail exactly what I would do if I was just starting out today. Mistake number one, random workouts lead to random results. When you're a beginner, you can make progress with just about any kind of physical activity. Your body is deconditioned to physical stress. So when you apply some, the adaptations can occur very rapidly, which is also referred to as beginner gains. The problem with this is it leads people to believing that they have it all figured out because they're making progress, and what they're currently doing will take them to where they want to go. Then when your goals change, you search for and find different programs that match it, simply stack them on top of each other, or play program Tetris trying to do both at once. When progress slows, you think you need to double down on intensity or frequency, which leads to injuries or setbacks and obviously derails progress. Our bodies respond to stress. So if we want specific adaptations to occur, such as faster run times or more strength in the gym, we have to impose specific stress and ensure that we gradually increase it over time. Number two, nutrition and recovery are just as important as the training itself. When I first started training, I ate like absolute trash. I understood that I had to get some protein in, and that was about the extent of my nutrition knowledge. And for the first couple years, I ate like this, did the same exact workouts, and felt discouraged when I looked in the mirror and saw zero changes. If the training is where we impose the stress or communicate to our body that we want these specific adaptations to occur, recovery is where it actually takes place. And without the right amount of nutrients in our system, it'll be impossible. So if you're serious about reaching your performance goals, I challenge you to be just as motivated in the kitchen and with the nutrition and recovery as you are with the training itself. And number three, ego lifting actually kills your gains. I have been insanely competitive my entire life and still am. Sometimes it helps, sometimes it hurts. And when I first started lifting, it absolutely hurt. I played football growing up, which means there's a big emphasis on lifting heavy, and typically you have an undertrained coach screaming at you to get more on the bar. And being my competitive self, I went way heavier than I should have. When I was 17 years old, I hit a 275-pound power clean. And while it sounds cool, looking back, I had zero business throwing around weight like that because my form was just not there. I was just full of testosterone and the drive to compete. This led to back injuries, which I continued to train through, which at one point got so bad that the nerve pain in my left leg prevented me from even putting on or taking off pants. And the real cause of this, my freaking ego. The most important ingredients to reaching a high level of performance are consistency and time. If we go in there day after day, lifting with an ego and moving weight that we don't have the form in place to lift or the strength to lift properly, which creates the need for compensations and ultimately results in injuries, then it vastly limits the consistency that we can demonstrate or adhere to over that long period of time. If you want to reach a high level of performance and durability for the long term, lose the ego. Now, if I was just getting into fitness but knew everything I knew today, here's exactly how I would start. For strength training, I would drop the gut check style workouts and instead focus on specific areas I want to improve in. It's fine to do those types of workouts every once in a while, or if you're challenging a friend in a Metcon or metabolic conditioning session, but random workouts that just create a bunch of fatigue without any goal usually hurt progress more than they help. For my split or structure on a weekly basis, I would implement a full body training split. This means each day I'll be doing strength movements hitting all of the major muscle groups. And this does a few things. First, it increases the frequency that we hit these muscle groups or movements on a weekly basis, which speeds up our skill development. Also, by hitting bigger muscle groups on a regular basis, it increases what is called our metabolic response, which means we can naturally increase testosterone production. Lastly, it ensures we're getting balanced stimulus. If for whatever reason we miss a workout or two, which I know you'll never do, but let's say hypothetically we have a busy schedule, maybe we go to the field, we're in the military, maybe we have, other obligations pop up and we miss a couple workouts throughout that week, we still get balanced stimulus, and we're not magically skipping the leg day week over week and developing muscular imbalances. Now, I would start these movements with a big compound movement, which simply means you're engaging multiple muscle groups at once in a particular movement. But instead of jumping into big movements like barbell back squat or straight bar deadlifts, I would learn the movement patterns with less complex movements like belt squats, goblet squats, hack squats, work up to box squats, etc. And when I felt comfortable and had strength and balance and skill in that movement pattern, then move into the more complex movement. After this, I would hit what we call hypertrophy work, which is just a fancy word to say rep ranges that are more optimal for building muscle. And I would finish these sessions with more athletic movement. These can be carries, sled pushes, or what we refer to as GPP, or general physical preparedness. Oftentimes when starting out, people put way too much emphasis on just building muscle and skip over movements that increase our skill and ability to move through a wide range of environments. This is why you see many bodybuilders that look fantastic on stage but don't move very athletically. For the average person who wants to both look good and be able to do the things they love doing, we want to include more athletic style movements to improve it over time. Another aspect I completely overlooked when getting started was aerobic development, or simply put, the ability to continue moving over longer distances and periods of time. I thought that if I wasn't redlining with every run or workout, that I wasn't getting the benefit of the training, and man, was I wrong. We absolutely want to include low intensity, steady state conditioning, or zone 2. Zone 2 just refers to keeping your heart rate between 60 and 70% of its maximum beats per minute. Now, the goal of this is to simply increase our body's efficiency at producing energy. This is the foundation of all of your cardio and endurance work, and I want you to think of this as your engine. It supports everything we do, including how fast we recover from sessions, the amount of energy we have access to, and even your heart rate in stressful situations. For the average person, we want to get around 150 minutes of zone 2 conditioning per week. If you're planning on going into the military or going into a specific course, this should be done primarily running, which increases our conditioning to the impact and the turnover and the economy of motion for the movements that we need to get better at. But if your goal is just general fitness, it can include any type of low intensity activity like biking, swimming, walking, rowing, elliptical, etc. The next aspect we want to include is the ability to perform in those higher heart rate zones. If you're planning on joining the military or law enforcement or a career where run times matter, this is where we drive them down. If not, we still want to include that high intensity work to ensure we have this capability to do so. And this should make up about 20% of our conditioning, while the low intensity stuff makes up the bulk, or about 80% of that conditioning. And the reason we do this is because while it's important, the higher intensity conditioning comes with a higher cost of fatigue. So if we just go at it every single day doing high intensity training, that fatigue accumulates very quickly and undermines our overall progress. Think of the high intensity work as the tuner or supercharger to your engine. The size of that engine is built through the low intensity work, and the tuning of it is built through the high intensity. If running is the goal, we can include a day per week doing shorter intervals like 400 meter, 800 meter, or working up to 1 mile repeats. If not, it's completely fine to get the high intensity conditioning from other forms, such as my favorite, the assault bike, rowing, or whatever you choose. And the final aspect, and arguably the most important, is durability. How much stress can your body take before it starts breaking down and developing injuries, preventing you from continuing? This is what we target with durability training. And for the vast majority of people, that means focusing on hip stability, shoulder health, lower back, and core stability. I personally like to include these prehab or prehabilitation movements inside of a quick 10-minute warm-up before the strength session. This can look different for everybody, but should target your specific imbalances or what you need to work on. And this is where we hit these smaller muscles that are often overlooked, but play a big role in stability and improving overall durability. Now, the best way to identify these movements that you need to work on is to go see a physical therapist, even preemptive. So before an injury occurs, see them, identify the imbalances, and see what workouts or movements you should be including on a daily basis. Talk about the aches and pains you have, talk about the weaknesses or the things that you're feeling with your body. And when they give you movements to include inside of your training, commit to doing those on a very regular basis. Now, I built a free beginner plan going over all of the principles we talked about today and the exact plan that I would follow if I was just starting from scratch. So if you want to check that out completely for free, the link to that is down in the description. And other than that, I appreciate you guys watching, and I will see you in the next one.